Alright, today I'm comparing the Honda 450 RL versus the KTM 500 EXC-F, or even the Husky 501, the gas. KTM is KTM, right? Some say you can't compare these two, but it's the two most sought after premium dual sport motorcycles people want to buy. They're very different bikes, and we're going to talk about the differences to help you decide which one's best for you. It's going to come down to the type of riding that you do or you're looking to do, right? Let's go through some of the specs. Honda is $10,100. KTM is $13,100. Depending on where you buy the KTM, it's going to be different. KTM does not list a MSRP. Do you get any more with the KTM? Well, that's to be determined. It's basically just more power for less money in the aftermarket parts. Some will say that the KTM has better stock out of the box experience, but it is $3,000 more. KTM comes in North America at 40 horsepower. Honda comes in North America at 38 horsepower. Now here's the kicker. With an aftermarket ECU on the KTM and an open exhaust, you can get almost 60 horsepower. The Honda, with the same aftermarket ECU and an open exhaust, you can only get 48 horsepower. Because the Honda does not have the 450R race cam to get up to that 60 horsepower. A 450R cam can be added to the RL, and you would get 58 horsepower with an aftermarket ECU and maps for that 450R race cam. Honda is 289 pounds curb weight. That's with fuel and fluids ready to ride. 289 pounds. The KTM is listed at 254 pounds, but that's a dry weight. That means there's no fuel or fluids and it's not ready to ride. A gallon of fuel weighs over 6 pounds, so that's 12 pounds of fuel right there. Let's just say 3 more pounds for oil and coolant. That makes the real weight difference of 20 pounds between the Honda and the KTM. Now you will feel that 20-pound weight difference when you ride the Honda. You will. Some of that extra weight is from the Honda, making the 450 RL smoother to ride. And the Honda is smoother than the KTM 500 EXC-F. The height is about the same at over 37 inches seat height on both bikes. Both have a 6-speed wide ratio transmission. Both have fuel injection. Both bikes are street legal from the factory. Both dirt bikes have electric start. Both of them are a single-cylinder 4-stroke. Both bikes come choked up in stock form to meet regulations, and both bikes need aftermarket parts to reach their full potential. Both bikes can be enjoyed completely in stock form. KTM probably has a better stock experience. Now let's talk about the stroke. KTM has a longer stroke than the 450 RL at 72 millimeters compared to Honda's 62 millimeters. This longer stroke on the KTM causes the 500 EXC-F to vibrate significantly more from that mass moving further. The KTM has a higher compression ratio at 12.75 to 1 compared to the Honda's 12 to 1 compression ratio. This, to me, reflects the more power out of the KTM and part of that reliability of the Honda. Rear suspension. The Honda has a ProLink Showa single shock. The KTM has a WP Explorer single shock PDS. Now the PDS has been out long enough that it's not a disadvantage to a linkage suspension found on most dirt bikes, so I consider the rear suspension a draw. Front suspension, the Honda has 49 millimeter inverted telescopic Showa forks. The KTM has a 48 millimeter WP exact closed cartridge forks. Both of them are fully adjustable, compression, rebound. Honda suspension has been the clear winner for years, but in 2024, KTM stepped up their suspension package and offered closed cartridge forks that leveled the game in front forks. The better suspension forced KTM to bring a better package for the 24 and 25 platforms. I feel like the suspension is a draw right now with the current KTM closed cartridge offering. And I feel plenty of riders will still get aftermarket suspension revalving on both platforms. So to me, it's a draw. Now the frame. Honda has aluminum wishbone frame found on most Japanese dirt bikes, while the KTM has a steel frame. Some riders prefer the steel frames because they flex more than the wishbone aluminum frames found on the Honda. I believe manufacturers putting more technology into stiffening the frames to aid riders in more stability in these latest models. So steel or aluminum, it comes down to rider preference. The Honda comes with a cable clutch. And the KTM comes with a Brembo hydraulic clutch. KTM clearly, some people prefer the cable clutch, but a Brembo hydraulic clutch is top shelf. Service intervals. Both Honda and KTM recommend oil changes at 600 miles. However, with good oil, those can be extended to 2,000 miles or higher based on Moto oil analysis from Blackstone. The KTM does have a slightly higher oil capacity, but extended oil changes are not a problem on either bike. Reliability. Some will argue that reliability is not a thing, or that it cannot be measured, but I believe Honda takes steps to make the 450 RL more reliable. Like, Honda does not have the race cam in it, so the overall power will not reach that of the KTM. The Honda has 2 rings on the piston compared to the 1, making the engine last longer, preventing blowback, but it creates more exhaust heat. The Honda has less compression, making it last longer with less wear and tear, right? But it's less power because of that. You can have failures on any bike, but I feel like Honda is taking steps to reduce power and give more reliability. The Honda has a catalytic converter in the 17-pound exhaust, and it comes stock with a smaller header than normal. So to open the exhaust on a Honda 450 RL, you are forced to buy a complete exhaust system. The KTM has a regular size header with a decent exhaust that's only choked up at the very end of the exhaust. To open up the KTM exhaust, all you need is an open end cap, like the Pro Moto billet end cap, and the exhaust is then fully open for a lot less money. I like the Fastway Pro Moto billet end caps. They sound good, they give great performance, and it's only $160. So how does it feel to ride these bikes? The KTM feels lighter, it has plenty of power, it feels at home on trails and single track. If you're an enduro rider or a hard enduro rider first, the KTM is for you. Now, the Honda feels slightly heavier because it is slightly heavier. And you do feel that on the trail. But the Honda does feel smoother. But the Honda feels at home on 2-track and road riding. If you are not a hard enduro rider, the Honda is the bike for you. The KTM is a better enduro bike, but it's capable of all kinds of riding. It's capable of riding on the road. It's just not as easy to commute the KTM 500 EXC-F. The Honda is a better dual sport, and it's more comfortable to ride on not so technical terrain. The Honda is capable of enduro and hard enduro riding, but it's not as easy. I believe the Honda makes a better BDR bike and has the ability to carry some luggage with a strong and extended subframe. The Honda is going to feel more at home on 2-track and road riding. On the Honda, like I mentioned before, it has 2 rings on the piston to prevent blowback and extending the reliability. But the more power you add to it, the more exhaust heat that creates. My pet peeve on the Honda is it's got hot exhaust heat. My pet peeve on the KTM is the engine vibrations. On the KTM, the longer stroke creates more engine vibration. There are aftermarket solutions to minimize vibration, but even then it's more than what the Honda has. If you're a younger person or middle-aged rider, the vibration will not be a big deal. But if you're an older rider or you've had previous hand injuries or arthritis in the hands, the vibrations could be a problem. So which one? Which one should you get? If you want the most power, get the KTM. If you're an enduro or a hard enduro rider, get the KTM. If you're not on a budget, get the KTM. If you want the lightest bike you can get the KTM. And if you like orange, get the KTM. If you want a BDR bike or you're commuting from time to time, get the Honda. If you're on a budget, get the Honda. If you want to ride more than you work on your bike, get the Honda. If you're a newer rider or not as aggressive of a rider, get the Honda. And if you like red, get the Honda, right? I think both of these bikes are great. You won't be disappointed with either option. They're really fabulous, premium dual sports. I hope this helps people decide which bike is best for them. If you have any questions, comment below. I'll try to answer them down there. And if you're buying parts for any of these bikes, please use the affiliate links below. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and I will catch you guys later.